So we have probably just witnessed one of the greatest live events in Fortnite history. And some of you may be confused about what just happened during 0 hour. But I'm going to try and explain it because there were some clues that the last reality may be manipulating things this whole entire time. So at the end of the event, it turns out that we are somehow in the Chapter 7 map. And it gives the impression that everything has been a dream. But pause on that for a second. So obviously after some jokes, we see Chapter 7 gameplay. It's literally a movie here. They're filming one. And obviously these guys are causing mayhem. But obviously at the end of the trailer, we see a cube cradle. I don't know if it's the cube cradle, because it's obviously kind of different colors and stuff. But oh my god, sick. Last Reality are back, and of course Dark Voyager, who seems to be behind this stuff, which I presume he is obviously in this ship. That is now confirmed because obviously we see this ship shoot down the battle bus in the event, essentially. So that does confirm that he's actually in the cradle. During this event, we do catch a glimpse of something that is very important before it's like it's been a dream this whole time. So we see this training run complete, total elapsed time in base reality 8 years, 9 weeks, 3 days, 9 hours and 30 minutes, which would give the impression that since Chapter 1, the last reality have actually been in control, which would explain the whole vault situation. The whole island underneath was metallic and it almost looked like a last reality spaceship. That we have been in some reality manipulated by the last reality. So that is the time we've been in the base reality. Total simulated time across all iterations, which I haven't quite understood yet, is 1.6 times 10 plus great 11 years. Whatever this sum is, can someone work this sum out? Is I suppose the years that we spent between each chapter within the simulation. That's what I'm going to assume at this point. Learning phase complete. Decommissioning error. Check protocol the dark presence. So obviously the dark presence was probably not meant to lose during whatever happened there, and it caused a system error, essentially, when obviously he released the Zero Shard, and the Zero Shard obviously resetted or refixed the Chapter 6 map by the looks of things. And then it's a decommissioning anomaly, containment protocol. Can't understand what this is because it's last reality. Beginning phase 2. Now obviously Fortnite did predict that this would be a new story, but it will still obviously have elements of the old lore. Everything we've learned in this simulation is important. It's not fake. It's somewhat fake. This is what I believe anyway. It's not fake. We did experience these things, and everything we experience is important because we've already heard dialogue into the next season that obviously confirms the Order misses her sister. So that confirms that everything we still experience in said simulation is still very much important. And an executing program, obviously this must be re-initialization to phase 2, which is funny because the Foundation kind of initiating phase 2. I'm not really surprised by this because this was coming a mile off. This is literally a video I did a few days ago. Well, I literally said this at the beginning of the video. So I believe Chapter 7 Season 1 might just be a game, and why the Cube Queen kind of could be behind it, or at least maybe the last reality. So with next season set to be a sort of US West Coast, so basically a movie theme, as we 100% know now because we have indeed seen the season, I thought that maybe the last reality, as well as controlling the OG reality, it turns out they're obviously controlling every single reality, but the OG reality wasn't in the past, it was a simulated reality to play a game for the 7. That's what the last reality have been doing this whole time, and you can even hear that all the way back in Chapter 2, where we had the Cube Queen's anthem, which is a sick song. Like, still to this day, it's obviously very relevant.
Now that you have seen my return,
I need to get to an important part.
there's just one thing you should know.
That you the mystery,
You're just
the player in my show. Everything you ever thought was true, just part of the play I made for you. Honestly, it's all here.
for you. Isn't it horrible? My prize is inside you continue.
So I randomly did this video like a couple years ago, and it just showed 2 minutes of certain points of events and trailers where I thought they would be important later down the line. So during the device event, you have this weird background radiation interference, and then it's like pixelated, like sort of like RGB lighting, which I guess are the colors that are used to make loads of colors essentially. During Skyfire, where Sloan disables a cube, the same thing occurs. But the most obvious one you see this. Chapter 2 Season 7 trailer is this. Where it goes static as like radiation or something, and it shows the Foundation, I do believe, yes. So I thought maybe this is how you travel realities, but obviously it's sort of looks like a TV. Again, I'm not saying that this simulation is a TV, I'm just saying that's obviously how they're viewing it essentially. I guess this is where it comes from essentially. That's my thought to this, and it has been this entire time, because when it goes from cubes to hexagons, which is essentially the last reality logo. Or could you say that's a 2D shape as of a dodecahedron? So that's why I believe Tryout Nox was important, because he gives off the same static effect. And if you look at it carefully, he does seem to also have red, blue, and green. So effectively, if you have Tryout Nox and you go up to a chest and you open it, he plays an audible static sound. I think his quest lines are so important. So to the Doom influencer, Renzo, he says, "You may be the light, but I will be the dark places in between them." So I think it's best for visualized representation here in his loading screen that it does look a bit like a TV, which strange enough were the teasers for this chapter as well. We saw it on like a TV as well. So essentially what Tryout Nox is a fully representation of a TV. He's static when he goes up to the chest. He has this blue, red, green, which is essentially RGB, which makes up all the colors you see on the TV. They only need them 3 colors. And obviously his quest line to Renzo, "You may be the light, but I will be the dark places in between." And that's what he's saying. He's like in between the picture. Like you don't see him because you're seeing the colors on the screen. Like you see this during the device event, this sort of glitching out. So are these something we start in? Is it an issue with the simulation? The biggest one obviously here. Obviously this may have not been the initial intention, but I guess it could be the intention now. Even 2 years ago, I was kind of on this vibe. If we had the fact that 0 Point created the universe is the arrival of color in the universe of nothing. So I think where I got that line from must be here, where we leave the vault and it's a prismatic effect of colors essentially, which I think is why I go into this point here, because obviously you have universal radiation. And if that was the idea from Dolomar Story years ago, I would kind of believe it, because I've watched lore videos about Infinity Blade and he's quite deep in there, so that could have been the initial intention. I have no idea at this point. I would say the loop and the island is a simulated reality of sorts. Not quite Epic Games are controlling us narratively as back in the day. That what people used to believe. It was like Epic Games actually controlling us through the screen, which we saw in the agency event, but still simulated by the 0 Point. But to loopers, it's very real. So I was kind of on the vibe, I suppose, back in the day. Just not quite all the way there. Oh, close. Oh, I need to check now. I did see that during the event. I went up to it and we obviously left that reality so quick. Yeah, I need to check. Good remembering. So see, everything that happened in the simulation is still very important. We live knows. We experience knows. She failed. She failed. Okay. She did not fail. That's the point. She did not fail. Don't try IO. Your fight with the 7 is in vain. You're puppets in my game. Everything you ever thought was true was all part of the game I let you view. That's it. That's the one. And everything you ever thought was true was just part of the game I let you view. Like, holy. Obviously, someone did allude to the fact that it looked like the Q Queen obviously lost. Like, why did she lose? Like, what's going on here? What's going on? Like, why did she lose? Because it didn't actually matter. It didn't actually matter. So this is when I would start to talk about what I've always believed with the 7, and that the 7 actually every single time played into the last reality's hand without even realizing it. Something I always found was weird, which I don't know if I've now mentioned it in this video, is that obviously the Vault looked very Last Reality technology, even though the Imagine Order claim they were in control. When the Seven arrive, they arrive on meteorites, which also is a point that has never really truly been explained. Obviously, it has happened a few times in the storyline. Obviously, also in Season X, and of course this season, Jonesy throws a Rift Beacon device into the 0 point, which somehow gets the Foundation to come, which the Foundation created. Both of these instances created problems for reality, because this obviously allowed the Foundation to create the Spire, which then attracted the Last Reality because of Raz, and same with the Visitor, who created the Rift that allowed the cubes to come in, which has happened twice, and probably millions of times. It's not a time loop, everything is a simulation. OG, every single reality is a simulation, but it's much more advanced. I wouldn't say it's like a Matrix simulation where you're like plugged in somewhere. I wouldn't say it's like a game. I would say it's almost like the 0 point is in that simulation, and they put you in reality and they just play it out. And then if they need to reset, they reset. But everything you still experience from chapter 1 to chapter 6 happened and is important to the lore, which we know because of dialogue we've already heard this chapter. It's important. Yeah, that's what the Order's voice lines. Mentions the sister, mentions the Foundation, mentions the Seven are gone. And I believe from loading screens we have already seen possibly the Dark Voyager, who seems to be the main villain this season, will be putting the Seven back. And that's how I believe we will probably get members of the Seven. Also, interesting point, obviously I'm going to show gameplay of this season because it has been revealed. So if anyone doesn't want to see it, please turn off the stream now. Whatever. This is gameplay from chapter 7, which shows they're controlling a Zero Shard, which does a little bit complicate things actually, but there is a loading screen that does answer this a little bit more. It does show that they got a Rift Shard and they somewhat got surveillance on the island. And one thing I want to point out, because someone in chat will point out in the next 5 seconds, because it is kind of almost too similar. Obviously we have the Dark Voyager here with the red cube, but we have this skin over here that I can't help but look at. And I know it's going to be the Lynx person, but why haven't they made it look so, which obviously is a skin from OG, so that's actually quite interesting. They've tried to make it also look like the Cube Queen. Is that just me, or is that just me? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. It's kind of got, you know, Cube Queen vibes, but it is the Lynx skin, I believe, from OG. So obviously, everything is still canon. Nothing has changed. Reality haven't, I guess, completely been reset. I mean, the simulation has, yes, but not the storyline. Everything is still relevant because of voice lines we seem to be having here. So we're going to play one of the voice lines. So again, at this point, I think we're talking leaks. But obviously, we have the Order talking about a few things that obviously happened during the Chroman.
0 point is involved.
So yeah, 0 point is involved. She mentions
we are what we used to be.
Okay.
Mission log. Someone else is making a play for the shards.
So the shards is still an important element of the storyline, but obviously we know there's obviously more going on. Like this is a simulated reality, which the effects of that simulated reality and what's felt in that reality is real, but it's been a complete reset because of the error that whatever happened at the end of the live event, which has caused a complete system error and it's needed to be reset, which maybe is why the Dark Voyager's coming and the last reality needs to actually be present this time. And maybe that's why. Maybe, oh yeah, every time the last reality comes, maybe it is, maybe they're like an antivirus and there's an error system and they just come just to sort out that error system. Like, we need to get these guys back on track, so let's plan something for them. Oh my god, that actually kind of makes sense, yeah. That actually kind of works. Because if we think about all the time the last reality has been involved, that kind of works. So whatever happened here caused a complete reality breakdown. Which maybe the Imagined Order know more, because that's why they just upped and left, I suppose. The occasions when they did. But Jones getting the cube was crazy. That's not crazy, that's insane. Obviously, mate, what a shot. Bro thinks he's Cristiano Ronaldo here. That's who was piloting it. Obviously, I'm going to presume at this point the Order was piloting it. So, bro runs up, kicks, and then boom. Actually, no, I guess it may be Paradigm, which completely corrupts the Dark Presence even more, I suppose. Completely destroying him, releasing the Zero Shard. And I guess whatever happens at this point here resets reality, but then maybe they restart it, because it just ends like every black hole event. But obviously we get this video log and everything. And obviously, we haven't even talked about the whole 7 unknown point. And obviously, we get that error message. So yeah, then decommission an error, check protocol to dark presence. So the dark presence obviously kind of messed up big time, that they needed to completely reset and start again with phase 2 of Battle Royale. And obviously, we haven't really got into the whole thing from the actual event. So the event in the trailer says 2 different things at the same point, which is interesting. The event shows the fate of the 7 is unknown, which has been a big plot point for the last couple of seasons, the last couple of chapters, as well as the entire Fortnite storyline. Drift's journey is unknown, or somewhere along that lines. The Visitor, the Paradigm, and the Scientist all had mission unknown, allegiance unknown, alliance, something else, and something else was unknown. We also get the 2 dialogues from the Nothing. You must give yourself to the unknown. And obviously, Optimus Prime says, you must brave the unknown. The answers you seek lie in the deepest void that brought you here. So, obviously, that I feel like that confirms that not just the whole... Obviously, we know the whole reality obviously must have been some sort of simulation. But obviously, OG was a simulation. And it's not in the past. I always said it's not in the past. It's like in reality. Everything is structured in Fortnite where it's very present. Very present. Even though the time travel season... Effectively, the last reality would have wanted that to happen because they want to do this. You know, they literally playing a game. They literally say it. What did it say? What was the word in? Training run. Like, what does that mean? Like what they building to? Well, it seems like the last realities had to come in themselves and sort it out. Is OG different in iterations? Oh yeah, probably. I don't know how long you've been here, but I did sort of say that maybe it was. Oh my god, this happens so quickly, it's hard to get back to. Yeah, so the total simulated time across all iterations, I actually thought that just means when the black hole resets the singular version, because obviously there's a base reality version, which must be reality 0 or the in-between, and that's what the Nexus core is, and that's what the in-between is. The in-between is almost like you're looking at the data, essentially, and that's what the red cube was doing. It was outside of reality looking at everything. So all them lines are probably times of reality running the simulation in a much more but again, I stress, I don't think that's a computer simulation. That is a universal simulation being carried out by the last reality in some space thing. I have no idea. I think it's a lot more complicated than just being a computer system, but maybe you're right and it is another iteration. So maybe it is the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6 iterations, along with stuff like OG, Remix, Blitz, and stuff like that. And they are all the iterations. Can someone do this? So let me do it. Imagine it says 6, 7. Or what is 1.10.6 times 10? That's not a great sign, is it? That was 1.96 trillion years. Yeah, people who put Agent Jones and Hope together, disgusted. We've known Jones since chapter 1. That means he's like a trillion. So you tell me the simulations? Oh yeah, no, okay. So yeah, sorry, that's the base reality to the total simulations. So this base reality was 8 years, and it adds to the total across all iterations, which is 1.8 trillion years. Now you might be right with that. Sorry, yeah, it's 1 billion years. I had 1 trillion. Maybe I did the thing wrong. It's either 1 trillion or 1.06 trillion, or I guess 1 billion. I don't know. Bro's old anyway. Have you been in... Wait, okay, sorry. So that it still means it's only 8 years. So so maybe Jones isn't... that might confuse... But it's a simulation, so isn't that the time of length they're experiencing, or what they think they're experiencing? Regardless, it's a lot of time. So I think from that video, I think we got it. Oh, it is KO4. I see what you're saying. I can't work out anything else now. I presume it might be on the Chapter 7 map, so it'll be something to look for. Oh, it is Kalo Thorne's team. So is this wherever they met on like before? Because obviously I forgot her name, but Nolan Chance were obviously talking about a previous heist. So is this like their main reality when they were at? That's a kind of a subtle thing to add, if that's the point. So again, we got this agency that we keep seeing that we never quite seen. So yes, it'd be investigating, but then that looks like Kato Thorne to me. But everything else, I can't really work out, unfortunately. Like, who's this guy with like the hair? Security cameras. I said Kato Thorne might also be important. Why would we go through there? No, I think that's the idea. Obviously, Jones was connected to all realities, so a whole simulation essentially. People still have memories of what happened. Yeah, with the new voice lines, everything is still relevant. It's not like a computer simulation. It's not like a Matrix thing, which I would argue Matrix, everything that still happens in Matrix happens, doesn't it? Like, you can die, so it still essentially happens. So maybe think of it more like that and sort of like the Truman Show. I think that's because it means something. It's not like everything's been fake. I think that's a wrong terminology to be using. Jumanji? Yeah. But guys, tell me down below what you make of this theory. If you enjoyed the event, what is your best part of it? Hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And until next time, it has been your boy, Mr. J. White. Next time, bye-bye.